This is Mackenzie Cooper and Claire Dwyer reporting on the educational issues of United States schools compared to other nations, specifically Finland.
We chose to compare the United States to Finland because Finland is known to be the #1 education system in the world. We will show the rankings of the two countries on two highly correlated national exams and what the positives and drawbacks to both countries' educational systems are. We will be discussing time in schools in relation to playtime, how schools think about standardized testing, and the cost of higher education. According to Louis Serino, the Program for International Student Assessment is a national test that was first issued in 2000 and is tested every 3 years. This test assesses 15-year-old students' literacy levels in 3 categories: reading, math, and science. Abby Jackson reports Finland to be ranked 12th in the PISA 2015 exam, and the United States to be ranked 36th out of the 65 countries who participated. The Trends in International Mathematics and Science Assessment TIMSS is another national test that examines students' comprehension on math and science curricula. Josie Gurney reported in 2015 exam, ages 9 to 10, the United States is ranked 14 and Finland was ranked 17th. There was 49 countries who participated. Finland demographically is not very diverse. Of the total population of about 5 billion, 93% of the people there are Finn and 88% speak Finnish. America is a much larger and more diverse country. The total population is 60 times larger, with 61% of the people being white, 18% being Latino, and 13% being black. Finland's tax rate is a lofty 51%, compared to America's average tax rate at 25%. Gurney also reported how the United States and Finland treat standardized testing very differently. Finland only tests their students once in their entire primary and secondary schooling experience at age 16. This test is the national matriculation examination and graded by teachers, not computers. Finland also takes pride in the fact that this test explores controversial or complex topics and involves academic and professional knowledge and skills. So students aren't separated by their test scores. Oscar Williams Grunt states all pupils, regardless of ability, are taught in the same classes. As a result, the gap between the weakest and the strongest pupils is the smallest in the world. One of the main goals for Finland's educational system is developing the students' ability to make self-assessments and better prepare them for the rest of their life. Teachers want students to develop their self-knowledge and study skills in hopes that they will grow into scholars who are aware of their individual process and learning progress.
It is known by many that standardized testing in America is not favored and that it also faces a lot of controversy. Due to Obama's Rise to the Top initiative, teachers are now being evaluated on student achievement and states are being ranked due to those evaluations. In a recent poll by William Bushaw and Shane Lopez, fewer than 25% of Americans believe increased testing has helped performance of local public schools. Bushaw and Lopez also explained that most of Americans dismiss the usage of standardized tests as well as student scores to show teacher evaluation. Their poll showed that most Americans believe the significant increase in testing in the past decade has hurt or made no difference in improving schools. However, most of Americans still don't support the usage of standardized testing for teacher evaluation. This uncertainty of the benefits and harm of standardized testing is what is causing America to continue testing students. There has yet to be a dominant decision made reflecting either side of the argument, even though Pi Kappa Delta International also concluded a poll that proved America's negative views on standardized testing. Their research concluded that 58% of Americans polled rejected using student scores from standardized tests to evaluate teachers. While standardized testing is a common and universal way to receive scores from students that will show their academic levels, America has conveyed their disapproval of such tests.
So in Finland, standardized tests seems to be devalued while playtime is heavily valued. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, on average, Finland students spend only 2.8 hours on homework a week. This goes hand in hand with Finland's high place value on free time and play. Jackson states by law, teachers must give students a 15-minute break for every 45 minutes of instruction. Children also don't start school until they're 7 years old, but 5-year-old preschool is offered. In this preschool, play and socialization are prioritized. Finland encourages children to be children as long as they can and enter school when they are ready.
U.S. students typically get about less than half an hour of recess every day, and they spend about 6.1 hours per week on given homework. So when will they have the chance to be active? Due to the increase in emphasis on standardized testing, America has limited the amount of time a child can play both in school and at home. David Whitebread stated in an interview with the New York Times that play is often perceived as immature behavior that doesn't achieve anything. He later goes on to explain that play is in fact essential to their development and is necessary in the lives of children. In the same New York Times article, the writer David Kahn explained that we as Americans are constantly changing how soon we choose to educate our children. Our drive for our kids to be educated is taking away from their developmental years when they need the freedom to play and explore. A study was done in northern Illinois for many years that tested several different things in high schoolers' lives. One of the variables asks what the students would do outside of school. With very high numbers, students stated that they were studying or doing homework more than anything else. In 2016, the study concluded that 40.2% were studying or doing homework and only 15.4% were spending time with friends. While social media also showed a large number, studying and doing homework was by far the highest. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention came out with an article in 2014 with facts to encourage the education system to support recess in schools. Did you know that only 61% of all the school districts in America had no policy regarding a mandatory recess time, or that only 5 states actually require recess? The statistics are quite surprising, but are showing in poor health in students and well-being.
Finland's financial view on education is also vastly different from America's. Finland's primary and secondary education is entirely free to any student accepted. Educational funding responsibilities is divided up between the state and local authorities. Universities are state-funded as well, but are also expected to raise external funds. The state funding for their school systems comes from their high tax rate, almost 52%. Finnish education in a nutshell talks about the freedom in Finland's upper secondary education systems, either general or vocational. Jackson shares in Finland teaching is one of the most revered professions, and on average, teachers get paid more than teachers in America. She states 1 in 10 students who apply to teacher education programs are admitted. All teachers are required to hold a master's degree. It's necessary to receive higher levels of training to become a teacher in Finland.
A large majority of Americans are striving to potentially receive a college diploma someday, but what if that will no longer be maintainable due to its cost? According to the College Board, the average tuition for this past school year was about $33,000 for private colleges, $9,000 for state public schools, and $25,000 for out-of-state public universities. An article called An Overview of Higher American Education by Sandy Baum explained the thoughts of college expenses. They stated that the American public no longer seems willing to pay more for more students to get more education. Research done by College Board Advocacy and Policy Center showed that parents and students could only cover up to 38% of their full-time college education. While paying for college is different for each person and family, the cost to attend most universities and receive a degree that will help you pay back college loans is incredibly high. After weighing the pros and cons of both education systems and seeing why the countries validate their choices, we are better aware of what the future might hold for us as educators.